but it had been the first time in like 10 years that I felt like I really heard the Lord speak to me, where you've been living this like complacency where it's like you're wanting to go and hit rock bottom. The Lord's like, I'm never going to let you hit a rock bottom, but I'm also never going to let you walk in your full like calling or blessing that I have for you. I'm going to keep you right here in this middle space of like complacency until you submit to me fully.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Radiant Podcast. I'm really excited. Today we're going to have a conversation with my friend Jared. So Jared, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, man, for sure.
And I'm really excited just to hear your story about what God has done in your life. Some people may know you, some people may not know you. I know, we'll set the cat out of the bag now. You're Pastor Lee's son. And so we don't have to dance around that anymore. But so some people might know you just from their years here being at Radiant. Some people probably don't know who you are at all. And sure. So I would love just to, you have a powerful story, and I know you're like still in your story, you know? And so I would love just to start, we don't have to go right in the very beginning. I know we talked a little bit before we, hit record, but just kind of love to start more in your early years, however young you want to go back. But just kind of, you grew up as a pastor's kid. Your dad was a pastor at a very young age. So as for as long as you've known, he's been a pastor.
Yeah, 1 year old when he planted the church. So
you're 1 year old. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. What are your like earliest memories of church? What was that like?
Yeah, I think the earliest memories was obviously it wasn't as big as it is now. Yeah. So it was just like the youth end or whatever, the kids end of that church. So I think my earliest memories is just being at church all the time. Like we'd be there and they just stick me in the foyer or whatever to run around like throughout the week. So I think my earliest memories is just like being at church a lot. Like we lived close to it. I would go with my dad to it. So yeah, just being there, like playing pool, ping pong or whatever. Pool tables. Yeah, exactly. Like, so that's my earliest memories.
Kind of want to bring that back, actually.
Yeah, might as well. Get the billboards going.
So we're, 1 year old. Like, was there a moment, like right now, so I have like my kids, they're like 9 and 6. Mm-hmm. So far, like they've, they love church. Was there a moment for you where you were like, I love church, I'm here, and then I don't love church? Or was it always kind of like, I'm just here, I don't really care that much about what's going on?
Yeah, I think probably the latter, where it's like, it's just all I knew, what I mean? So I didn't know anything different. It was my whole life. I think maybe when we were 3 services back in the day on Sundays was when it was like, all right, this is a little, we're there all day. But I always had like friends in the church. Like my closest friends were like Mikey Popenhagen or Aaron Porter. So like their parents worked or on staff at the church. So they were stuck in the same boat as me. So running around causing trouble with them or sneaking out of class. Like, so it was like fun, but it's kind of all I knew, you know what I mean? Just being at church all the time or, So
when did that, I grew up a pastor's kid as well. And so I get it. It's like you're like forced there. So just, it's tough for sure. When do you feel like there was a moment where, or do you ever feel like there was a moment where it was like, I'm annoyed, but I'm here, to the point, did it ever switch to like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to do this.
I would say that didn't happen really until like after high school. Because like looking back on it now, I think I had such a like looked at religion or even looked at God like through, I'm just a pastor's son. Like this is what it is. It was never like this like real thing to me. It was just like, well, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is who my dad is. So it was something that I feel like I never really let come in and like transform me. It was more just like, I'm at church. We're a Christian thing, but it just wasn't like real to me. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you ever have like moments when you were younger, like let's say pre-high school, like where you did encounter the Lord and even in small ways, like react to like, hey, did you ever feel the presence of the Lord? Did you feel, I would say like engage in a relationship with him or before high school, or was it just kind of always pretty flat for you?
Yeah, I think in middle school for sure. It was like either going to like Radiant camp or stuff like growing up, or I remember one night of worship at the church, and there was praying, and I really felt like an encounter with the Lord. And that was like 8th grade. And it was like tangible, it was real, but yeah, it was still like, I don't feel like it was like a transforming moment for me, because I think it's just hard, like small town Richland. I go to a school like a mile away from where the church is, so everybody knew who the church was. Everybody knew, and my dad was the senior pastor. My uncle was the youth pastor.
Oh, that's
my
right,
whole entire life. So it was like,
that's right, yeah.
It was just family. Like this is just like who we were. But at the same time, that made it hard for me because I felt like I was just under a microscope a lot of the time. Couldn't really like I remember being in school like 6th grade, and you just try to fit in. I just moved from like a school to Gull Lake middle school, and you're just kind of trying to fit in with all the kids. And I remember I had said like a swear word in the hallway, and one of the girls that went to church told her parents, who told my parents, and then I got the call up to my dad's room like, why are you swearing at school? So it was just like life under a microscope.
Wasn't even a good swear word?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
I would have done more if I knew I was going to get caught.
Exactly.
And then it's also like I felt like I couldn't ever like almost confess to like struggles I was going through in my life, or like questions or things I had, because a lot of people, they'll either go to their pastor, or like that's my dad, or like go to the youth pastor, and that's my uncle. So I felt like, all right, I just have to like keep whatever I'm going through to myself, because it's like I don't want to go talk to my uncle about like, oh, I'm watching pornography or doing that, because it's like, oh, that's a weird conversation to have.
Because he's your uncle, but also like your youth pastor, and then it's also he works for your dad. Your dad's the pastor, and it's like there's a weirdness to it for sure, or it can be weird. So, like you had mentioned, I didn't feel comfortable to be able to share the pain and struggles I was dealing with other people, so I kept it to myself. Was there a point where that came to a head, and it was like I can't keep this to myself anymore? Were you able? The question I'm trying to phrase is: there's a point where you can kind of put on a face, and then pretty soon you just can't put on a face anymore. Like you probably, I assume, I don't know you, or I didn't know you then, but it's like you probably kept like I'm the pastor's son face on for a while.
Yeah.
But then there was a point where you're like, I don't want to put this face on anymore.
Because I was good at the face. Yeah. So it's like.
You have a handsome face, actually.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But I was good at that. And I think that was a lot of like high school. And then even after high school, I went and didn't really know what I wanted to do, but there was an opportunity to go to Colorado. My sister had done it.
Yeah.
And so I think really looking back, it was like after Colorado, after I moved back, I was like, I'm done with the face kind of thing. Yeah. So I think I'd kept it on. And like, it wasn't always that way. Like there was like, it was like half face, half not. It was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, not total. But I knew that I had to keep like even when I'm out, it's like I know people from the church could see me or whatever and go back to. So it's like living, like I said, kind of under that microscope.
So in that moment, so you've kind of shared a few things of, you are growing up, elementary, middle school, high school. You are growing up as pastor's kid under a microscope, trying to put on a face. And then also the next phase of that is you go out when you're leaving high school, you go to Colorado. How long were you in Colorado?
Just a year.
Okay. So you're out of Colorado for a year. You came back. And at that point, you're kind of like half in, half out. You're like, I don't really want this face anymore.
Right.
But you still feel that like pressure.
Yeah.
Can you look back, what were like, this is kind of an intense question, but like, what were the lies that like you were hearing during that time? Like, what is the, like the reason for feeling the pressure, or like the things that like the lies that might be trying to push you to, hey, like, don't actually do this church thing. Don't actually do this Jesus thing. Go this direction.
Yeah. I think just a lot of it you feel, and it's never, I feel like pressure from like outside people, but you just assume like you got to be this perfect person. And it's like, I look at like my older sister, Ashley, like she's always been like an angel from the Lord. So it's like, and I just never was that.
I think I've actually heard Ashley swear before.
Have you? I haven't. So 29 years, I haven't heard it, but I'll take your word for it. So I think it was just pressure. And I think I always kind of like, I always had a little bit, I was always stubborn. I was always kind of, just felt different in that, like it didn't come easy to me. Like it looked like it came easy to Ashley. It looked like it came easy to my parents. And I feel like a lot of people had expectations on me for like, oh, you're gonna go into ministry or you're gonna like succeed Radiant Church. And I was just like, I don't know about that. And especially at a young age, it's like, that's what my dad does. And I think that even, I mean,
all that pressure.
Yeah, it's just pressure.
And it's like people just assume that's what you want to do. Right. You know, where it's like, and who knows what you're thinking now, but it's the like at a young age and you're like, oh, you're going to do this because there's almost this hierarchical American like, well, this is what your dad does, so you're going to do this. Right. So it's like, I don't even know what I want to do or who I am. I'm trying
And I think at a young age, I was like, I had felt like the call of the Lord to go into ministry, but then that also, my stubbornness is like, I'm not doing what my dad does, or I don't want to like go into that. And that put a strain, I feel like, not that specifically, but there was always like a little strain in me and my dad's relationship, or even, I mean, I was just a punk. Like I had a mouth on me. I was stubborn, and he's trying to 25 years old, start a church and do this, 3 kids. And I was always the one giving him a little fun back at home. So, yeah.
So you come back from Colorado and, you know, you're feeling this like, you know, we kind of talk about the lies. It's like, I'm feeling this pressure from people. I'm feeling like people are trying to tell me who I am, and I don't really know who I am. And I don't really know if I want to be what they're saying. You know, you kind of want to. It's almost like when there's this pressure being put on, it's like I just want to just kind of throw everything off and just do my own thing, you know? And so where did that, obviously, so I assume, but was there a point in your story where it was like, I can't keep doing this like double life. I can't keep doing this. Like, what was that next phase for you like?
It kind of came to a head where I came back, moved out. I was in my own place with one of my best friends, and we had kind of like, it wasn't like, all right, we're gonna dive full into like living for the world, but it was just kind of like creeping, like little things. And then my dad caught wind of it, and I had a nice come to the Lord moment with him where I didn't come to the Lord. He was just like, you have 2 choices, this or this, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And so it was not like, well, you're disowned, you're not part of it, but it was just like, awesome. Well, I can't bless you how I want to bless you if you're going to be living for the world. And in my stubbornness, that was like the first time I'm like, I'm free. I can do whatever I want now.
It's like that pressure that's on me is now gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can just do whatever I want.
And if the word gets back to him, and I was honest with him. He asked me a bunch of questions. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? I was like, yeah. And so once that kind of conversation happened and I left, I was like, well, now I can go do whatever I want, whenever I want, because now I don't have this face on anymore. So I'd say that kind of led me to like, all right, let's do it if we're gonna do it.
Let's go big. So, you know, not to get like, you know, not to like psychoanalyze this, but when you are in that moment and you're like, look, I'm doing this, doing this. I don't want to have this pressure anymore. I want to go this way. What is the motivation in that? Like, what is it that you were searching for, looking for? And maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was like, I don't even know. I just didn't want to be that. So I just wanted to go this direction. But was there like were you combating I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's like, were you combating, you know, like loneliness or this or whatever? Like, was there something that was causing you to drive towards this?
I think it was just like validation from people around me. I think growing up in a small town where people know your dad's a pastor and stuff, like in high school, I was never like cool in high school. I wasn't popular. I didn't get invites to things because people knew my dad was a pastor. And then I'd kind of come back and like suddenly it was like, oh, I'm kind of like, not cool in a sense, but
for sure.
You're getting invites to things, or you're doing,
exactly.
and it's like people like you and want to like. So it's like, I think it was the first time that I had a taste of like, oh, I could like.
Yeah, this is what normal life is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. In a sense.
That makes total sense. So, how long do you feel like? How long was that season? So, like from that conversation where you're like, okay, I feel freedom to do what I want now.
Yeah.
Like, was it weeks, months, years of you just like, I'm going full on in?
Yeah, years. I mean, I'd say it's like full on in, and it was like first, it's hard. Full on in, but then it's like I had just had a lot of like life stuff happen too. Like my best friend who I was living with, and he was like part of the church kind of too, and we both, he ended up dying in a car accident in 2016, which was right around, it was like a year after I kind of had that conversation with my dad. And
was that pretty like what did that do for you? Like, you know, when you are like, I'm assuming this is the friend you were talking to. So it's like, hey, like we're gonna do this, and then all of a sudden he passes away tragically. Like, did that shift something for you, or what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think even in that moment, I would never like looked at it like blaming God for it or like angry at the Lord for it. I think if anything, it just kind of made me numb to it. Like it made it like attach a lot of memories to the church of like growing up with him and that. And like I said, at that point I was already like not really going to church and doing it. So if anything, it just made me like, I feel like, and looking back, I guess it just hardened my heart a little bit towards everything, like made me even more numb to the situation. So
for sure. Yeah, you don't want to feel like
exactly.
It's like this. You want to close yourself off. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Exactly.
So that was a year in. So what's happening now in your life in that time?
Yeah, I'm going to school, and then I'm just like living with buddies. And I guess you look at it like the normal like college kind of experience, just like going out, a lot of like smoking or drinking, girls, kind of that thing. But I was always more to like the extreme of things. Like I think because I never like did any of that in high school, I was like, I'm gonna live it up. And a lot of those things, even in those moments, it was like you think it's like fulfills you, and it's like it doesn't. And so you're like, oh, I gotta do more of it, and then that will, it's like such momentary, temporary things where it's like numbs you, and then afterwards you feel worse, but then you keep doing it to like get rid of that worse feeling, and you just like real, compound on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's like this thing that I'm like searching after this to try to fill a void. It's actually making things worse. But instead of stopping like an intelligent person,
right? Exactly.
I just like, I got to do more so that I can try to like numb myself from feeling worse about this. And then it's like this weird like justification, like, oh, if I just keep going, it's fine. And it's like, no, that's real. And so you, where do you feel like, you know, I'm basically asking like, when did rock bottom happen? Like, you know, like what, like that justification loop you just talked about, like eventually you reach a point where it's like you just mentally and physically can't do it anymore.
And I fought it for a long time, right? So I was like definitely like very depressed, anxiety, like all of these things. And I never like put that out to the world. I could always like, I was so used to putting on a face. So like, it would just be like when you're alone, like you don't have the distractions of like all these people around you or whatnot. But I'd say I was kind of just in a long season of like quote unquote rock bottom. And then I kind of, a lot of people know like the Wayne Drain yellow legal paper. I got the text from my mom on October 2023 of like, come to church. And if I've always just been a mama's boy, so it's like if Jane specifically asked me to come to church for this one service, I would do it for her. So I came, and then she was like, whispered to me, I was like, I'll come, but I don't want Wayne to give me like a word in front of the church. Like, I'll just sit with you. And then she whispers over like, Wayne has a word for you. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. And she's like, no, he's got it. And I was like, I don't want it. Like, and I think part of me knew like, yeah, I'm going to get called out for a lot of my stuff, or like, it's going to be like a real like face-to-face moment.
I actually have to deal with this stuff.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
She was like, but if you come back to Dad's office and he'll just give it to you. And yeah, I just remember he gave me the paper and I read it on the car ride home, and it was just like, just talking about how like the Lord sees you, and it's not through the eyes of your father, and it's not through the eyes of that, but he sees you for who you are, and he loves you. And I think a lot of people's story is like, I had this instantaneous moment where the Lord met me, and then boom, I like stopped. And I don't know if it's just I was so stubborn or my heart was so hard towards the Lord just throughout the years, but that was kind of a moment where it's like, all right, I'm gonna like kind of like check myself. And it was like, I just had then like the next so that was October, and then through 5 months I just felt like myself and my heart just like softening towards the Lord, and I found myself just like praying, or like even just like reading like a proverb for the day, and not telling my parents, because it was just like there was such a point in me.
You can't let them win.
No, exactly. And that's, I think, a lot for me what it was too. I'm like, bro, I know that if I go back and they win.
Yeah.
And it's like, like that's a big thing I had to let go of, just my pride in that. But the realest moment for me was March 28th, 2024. I was just in my bed, and I wasn't like a rock bottom necessarily, but I was just like, I was done with myself. And that was the first time I prayed like just a real intense prayer to the Lord, where I'm just like, I'm not happy. I'm not nothing satisfied. Like, and I had nothing. I mean, I had a good job. I had friends. I had all this, like things that you would think and you would see like, oh, he's doing good. Like but I just wasn't satisfied. And I think a lot of me was like, all right, I have to hit this rock bottom of like strung out, or like alcohol. Like I have to hit this rock bottom, and then I can go to the Lord. And in that moment, it wasn't obvious like a verbal, I heard the Lord, but it had been the first time in like 10 years that I felt like I really heard the Lord speak to me, where it's like, you've been living this like complacency where it's like you're wanting to go and hit rock bottom. And I just felt like the Lord's like, I'm never going to let you hit a rock bottom, but I'm also never going to let you walk in your full like calling or blessing that I have for you. I'm going to keep you right here in this middle space of like complacency until you submit to me fully. And in that moment,
that's a tough word, man.
It was a tough word to hear. He's like, you could just, you keep trying to hit rock bottom, I'm not going to let you. So you can just be in this unhappy, depressed state, or you can submit to me and I will like have you walk in your full calling. So in that, the next day like went to work, and my excuse early on was like work. I had work on Sundays, and they paid time and a half on Sundays. So that was like my excuse to not go to church. But took Sundays off the next day from it, and the next like all of April, May, just was going to church every Sunday, and just still not like really letting my parents win at that moment. But and then there's just a moment in June where it was like I just felt the Lord too. Like my parents were up at their cabin up north, like just the Lord telling me like, you need to go up there and just honor them, talk to them about what's going on in your life. So I went up there and we sat in the back deck, and I just told them, I'm like, I just want to let you know that I'm done with everything that I've been doing. And really just it was like a repentant moment to the Lord and to them, because I wasn't unaware of the fact that like it was breaking their heart. You know what I mean? A lot of the stuff I've been doing, and we obviously weren't close in like relationship for a lot of years because of that kind of stuff.
Bro, that's insane.
It's
do you feel like in that moment where you are you're with your mom and dad on the back deck, and you kind of come to them repent, what feeling did you have after that?
Yeah.
Was there I don't want to put words in your mouth. What feeling did you have after that?
I feel like that was like the freedom that I thought I had been looking for so many years, that I finally like felt that freedom for the first time.
That's incredible. I mean, that's what I was curious at, is because you kind of used the word freedom earlier on in our conversation when it was like, when you're having the conversation with your dad saying, you know, I don't want to do any of this. You're like, finally, I'm free.
Right.
But actually it was like chains that held you, and you were just like,
1000%.
what you thought you were doing. It's like that verse in Romans where it's talking about like, what's the fruit of these things that you thought were going, but it all leads to death. But like, and it's like, you thought that's the freedom you wanted, and then you pursue it and to get validation, everything you wanted. And it ends up just driving you farther and farther down. And then when you actually, you know, I'm thinking of, I'm trying to, I think it's Psalm 33.
Theologian over here.
No, that was about as much as I did. So it's the when you, bro, I'm gonna pull this up because it's like one of my favorite Psalms. But let's see. Hopefully, I had the right Psalm memorized. So David it's this Psalm of repentance, and it says, it's like, blessed is the one whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Psalm 32. Skip to verse 3. It's like, when I kept silent, my bones wasted away, my groaning all day long. Day and night, your hand was heavy upon me. My strength was dried up as the heat of the summer. And I'm so as you're talking, I'm literally picturing this psalm where it's like, you are going through this season of, I don't want to talk to anybody anymore. I'm going to keep silent.
Yeah.
And you're like, your bones are just wasting away.
Yeah.
Like, but like you had said, then you had a moment with the Lord.
Yeah.
Not a moment with people. It was like a moment with the Lord.
Yep.
And the Lord's like, I'm here. My hands are heavy on you. I'm not letting you go this way, and I'm not letting you go that way.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to keep my hand right on you, and you're going to stay here until like you make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like this verse where it's like his hand was heavy upon me. The next verse is, I acknowledge my sin. I don't cover my iniquity anymore. I confess my transgressions to the Lord. You forgive the iniquity of my sin. And then later on, it talks about this hand that was like on me. Like, you see this language where it's like, actually this same hand ends up being like a guide. It's a resting place, helps from trouble. And that's that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you end up confessing that, and now you're actually feeling, oh, this is the freedom that I was like
100%.
actually, which is incredible. Like, because like we talked about earlier too, you just constantly justify things. Like, I've been there. I've so many conversations with people where it's like, you just keep justifying what you're doing because it's, in your opinion and in your head, it's better to keep things hidden than it is to like let things out.
100%.
Because it's like, well, if I let things out, I got to deal with it. I got to deal with that crap, and I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so that happens.
Yep.
So what's next for you?
Next for me, so I'm at church now, and I'm like fully attending every single week, and then I kind of start playing eye tag with a girl across the aisle, and then later on that me and her end up getting dinner, and we start dating. She's been going to the church, and it was just such a thing for me because going back to church, I didn't really have like friends, all my friends I'd cut off, like a lot of friends, a lot of stuff I was doing. So I was kind of doing this journey not alone because I had a lot of people, but alone. And she was kind of in the same boat. And so me and her started dating. And then through that, I it's hard being the pastor's kid. I know that. And I don't have to like do them. That's not bad. Don't have to, but it's like, I just knew coming to church, I didn't want to like ever be, like have to skip. I wanted the full like process of everything. You know what
you
I
don't
mean?
want to take it like it's a relationship is a relation. You have to actually like you have to do it.
Yeah,
and you
100%.
can't be like, well, because I like know this person or because I am related to this person, I don't have to go through the process.
Exactly.
But if you skip the process, you skip the relationship. Yeah. And so you're like, I need like if this is that's what I love about hearing your story. Because you're like, if this, I'm all in.
Yeah.
If it's this way or this way, I'm all in.
Yeah.
So, but to be all in, I got to go through it myself.
100%.
Yeah.
And so that was, I started meeting with Caleb Culver. And kind of just, he was the person I'd be like, this is new to me. I'm trying to like figure out a lot of like my life. And so he just talking with him, like meeting with him weekly or bi-weekly basis. And then I was like, all right, I want to do even like the Be Radiant membership class.
Yeah.
Like I went through that and then wanted to serve. So I serve in youth on Wednesdays,
Wow, that's awesome.
Wednesdays, and doing like a pastoral follow-up with Preston and meeting with him. And then the baptism, which was more recent, it was just like, just a public thing that, and so thankful and just know that a lot of people in church, it wasn't just my parents, have kind of just been praying for me over the years and doing that. And so I think it was a thing for me to the Lord, but it was also just like a public thing for everybody and anybody kind of that has like a prodigal in their life or someone that's not even never walked with the Lord before, just kind of, for that.
So this girl that you've been making, like playing eye tag with, what's going on with her?
Yeah, so we just got engaged last week. So
come on,
it's been a year. It's been a good year, but it's been the best year of my life.
It's a year amazing. Of life.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, and even back in the Seek night, I just got a word from Russell Johnson. He prayed over me and just like, this next like season, like everything's going to be moving really quick for you where it's like, you don't know if you're ready, but you are. And it's just been the truth. God's just opened a ton of doors in my life. And it's just been the best ride of my life.
So when you are, let's look back at the Jared who's like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
What did that Jared, like what was his vision for his life? Like what was your hope and future of your life?
Yeah. I think that Jared, it was almost like just a no vision for his life. You know what I mean? It was just like, I'm going to do what makes me happy and what satisfies, or what I think satisfies me in this exact moment for this day, and take it day by day. Just lost, man. I think back and it was just like no vision at all.
So how old are you?
29.
29. So what's 29-year-old Jared, what's your vision for life now?
Yeah. I get to be a husband here soon.
Come on, man.
To Samara, and I get to be a stepfather to two amazing kids, Story and Sincere. And so that role specifically, I'm just so excited for. And to start a family, have kids of my own, and just serve the Lord. Like, I just feel like I had so many years where I wasn't serving the Lord, and now I'm excited just to serve the Lord with 100% of me. Yeah. Go after it hard and just follow Him, and whatever doors He opens up, just walk through them. But just be planted in the church, serve in the church. Serve my family, and
I love that, man. There's so much like hope and future now. So pretend like you are like sitting across the table from someone who's like, as like kind of right now, like I would say, like, so you're 29, like you're just like, you're in the beginnings of your life right now. Like it is like, because a lot of people would even be like, if I were you, I would even think, oh, how much of my life has been wasted? Or like, oh, I've started so late. It's like, no, actually, like you're 29 years old. Like there is so much for you to do in life with the Lord. And so, but let's say you're sitting across with someone who's 20, 25, who has not actually experienced that freedom yet, or is still searching after things that they think will satisfy them, like you said.
Yeah.
But actually it's just driving them farther and farther away.
Yeah.
Maybe they're a pastor's kid, maybe they're not. I don't know. But they're just like, look, like you seem happy now. Like what happened? Like what would you say to that person to kind of help them through that process?
I think the best thing that I think I would is like, you just like give it it sounds bad, but like give it a shot. Like just do it. Like you're willing to do so many other things or believe in so many other things or believe so many other things will satisfy you. Just do a year, and it's like, it's almost like, or 6 months or whatever, like seems like, even it's like 3 months of like, all right, if this is real, I'll give 3 months, go 100% into it for 3 months. Like really submit yourself, really be in your word, have a prayer life, go to church and do that. Like, and then if after the 3 months your life is worse than it is in doing stuff, then you're in the right. Go do what you want, but it won't be. So it's like, just do the test trial, and at the end of you'll end up.
And I love that the test trial involves, hey, whatever you do, you have to do it 100%.
100%,
like, you can't just, because like you were just like, I was attending, like I was showing up every once in a while, but it wasn't changing your life. It's
Exactly.
like, no, actually the things that you chose to do was, okay, I'm actually going to read my Bible. I'm actually going to pray. I'm going to have conversations with people. I'm going to actually like treat this as a relationship. And that's actually what changed your life. Because to be honest, it wasn't the prophetic word encounter that changed your life. It was someone talked to you, someone gave you a word from the Lord, but you decided, okay, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna make the choice. Because you weren't like you had said earlier, you weren't at rock bottom and something outside of you forced you to change. It wasn't like you almost died. It wasn't like, whatever. It was like, no, this is just not working. 100%. So I'm going to change something. And that took work. That took time.
For sure.
Like, when did you feel like it actually started to have an effect on you? It probably wasn't day one.
No,
but it's like, what was that
day
like?
Day one sucked. Like, you know what day one, week 1, week 2 sucked because it was just a lot of things in my life that had become like so part of my life, like a lot of the things I do. And it's like, you miss it, right? It's not like, and maybe it is for some cases, but it was like, I missed smoking, or I missed drinking, going out, and I missed doing that. But it was like, it's all in or nothing, because I had enough to know that it's like, this 1 foot in, 1 foot out is going to leave me in the same exact box. Or it's like making God fit around you instead of like you like submitting to the Lord. So week 1 wasn't fun, but it's just like, I think the more you do it and the more you see, like, I don't need that. So that like you have a sense in the back of your head that this isn't making me happy, this isn't satisfying me. But once you really step out in, just submitting to the word and submitting to the Lord, and that kind of and it's just growing pains, I feel like too, where it's like, once you kind of get on the other side of those growing pains and you feel the freedom of it, and you build this community around you, and you just start walking in that, is when you fully experience it.
That's awesome. Jared, thanks so much, man, for this conversation. I mean, this is a powerful story. And what I'm so excited about is it feels like your story's just begun. So it's like, wow, if this is where we're at, now, like in the next 10 years, like from the foundations have been laid now, what life and blessing will come from you and your family and your life, and how that story and is going to impact others. It's like, I think back at the very beginning where it's like people were telling you, hey, you're going to do this in ministry, you're going to do this. And it's like, and maybe you never like work in full-time occupational ministry, but what the Lord did in your life will forever minister to other people, because they're going to say, I have a son that I've been praying for that looked like that was stubborn and hard-headed and looked like he would never come back. But look what the Lord did. And what's amazing is it wasn't because your parents just smacked you upside the head. It was your own like decision to come. Like the Lord softened your heart, did only what he could do. And that's going to change like people's lives. And I really do feel like through your life and your family and your kids and their kids, like their lives will forever be changed because you chose the hard thing.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm excited for it too. This is just the beginning, and it's just like something to look for. Like we said earlier, I was like 18, 19, 20. I didn't have a vision or like something to look forward to. Now I'm excited for what the next 10 years are going to look like and all that.
Well, thanks so much, man, for
thank you.
talking with me, being vulnerable, opening up, sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Radiant Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and tune in next episode. We'll see you then.